इसका पीपीटी ना अपने को थोड़ा सा वो भी करना।
क्लोज करो ना।
क्लोज कर रहे हो
लास्ट
कैसे?
मीटिंग नहीं, तो
ऐसे
क्लोज
नहीं
करो।
होगा, ये विंडो ही आपका अलग है ना, ये है ना यहाँ पे।
हाँ, तो ये ओपन है ना, वो आपने दोबारा वो बोल रहे हैं ना विंडो खोलने के लिए, उसको बंद करो ना आप। तो इधर से स्क्रॉल करो ना। हाँ, स्क्रॉल।
Good morning and warm welcome to you all. This is Jana, your host for today. All of you are welcome to the 67th virtual webinar. We shall be continuing on our food safety and food hygiene series. Our today's topic is food inspection and testing, which shall be covered by Miss Yashi Shrivastava. And there shall be the panel discussion followed by question and answer session. Sadgun for food industry. Cleanliness and hygiene has been embedded into the Indian culture since the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro times. Cleanliness is equally important when it comes to food and its preparations. Cooking, though a clumsy and multi-oriented task, needs to be carefully handled to ensure that the resulting product is palatable and contains no foreign material. Food safety and food hygiene are important as they ensure that the food you handle and produce is safe for consumption. Food safety is the foundation of trust in the food business. Entrepreneurs can establish a good reputation built on food safety and quality and drive profits. Small and medium-sized business very often do not realize that not applying food safety and quality improvement measures turn out to be more expensive than applying them. In this regard, while hindsight may be good for to chance or ignoring it, but to actively and alert plan, implement and pursue food safety from the initial stage of food production, inputs, processing, packaging, storage, and distribution. Let's start with today's agenda. Virtual inauguration by Dr. Kataria, invoking the blessings of deity, chanting of country mantra, introduction of speaker, presentation by Ms. Yashi Shrivastava, introduction of panelists, panel discussions and question and answer session, and last closing session.
इंटरनेट स्लो हो गया सब लोग पे बैठे तो देखो मेरे का स्लाइड चेंज हो गया तो
Sadgun Sangh, conceived and led by Dr. Sundar Kataria, driven with a mission to elevate the quality, safety, and the environmental awareness levels of industry. Sadgun Sangh is a series of educative, informative events aiming to eliminate professionals on possible solutions to current issues of industry and economy. Dr. Sundar Kataria is the Chairman and Managing Director of International Certification Services Private Limited. He is the Mechanical Engineer, AMIE, Honorary Doctorate Business Management. He started his career in building India's first nuclear power plant at Rawalbhata, Kota, Rajasthan. He contributed in developing India's first oil and gas field at Bombay High since its inception. He was head of industry and offshore development with TNB for 2 decades. He is the founder of Indian Conformity Assessment and Inspection Body known as International Certification Services Private Limited, which is a provider of the total quality solutions under single umbrella with wide spectrum of services. He has received Lifetime Achievement Award of NACE Corcon. He has also received several national and international awards. I now request all Dr. Kataria to inaugurate the session.
शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
For the recitation of the Gayatri Mantra. Speaker, Ms. Yashi Shrivastava. She is the director for Yaari Qualitech. She has completed BTech food technologies. She has also done MSc Dietetics and Food Service Management. She is pursuing her PhD degree. She has 13 years of vast experience in food industry. She is IRCA approved lead auditor for ISO 22000. She has completed 4,000 plus fast-track trainings in advanced manufacturing, catering, and street food vendors. As an auditor, she has completed 200 plus mandate audits of certification of different sectors of food industry, catering, third-party inspection, FSSAI, AI, and third-party audits. She has also got certificates of recognition from FSSAI as a top 3 trainer for outstanding contribution as foster trainer for a period of 2019-20. She is the CII assessor for FACE Award since 2014. She is Women in Business Award 2000 by Indian Globe MSc Chamber, Young Business Award in INMO World of Women Awards. Let's welcome Yashi Shrivastava. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shena, for such a nice introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me share my slides. Okay, so my slides are visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Can you put on a PowerPoint presentation more?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
All right. Okay. So, first of all, good morning to everyone. A warm welcome in this presentation series. So now today we will be discussing on food inspections and testing. So I am Yashi Shrivastava. Let us start with few of the definitions first. So food inspection, basically food inspection, why we do food inspection, what is food, what is all this hazards are all about, these all things we have already discussed, right? So today we will be taking the food inspection and the testing.
Just a minute. Can you do the presentation in the full screen mode?
I have already done that. It's
No,
not visible
it's
to
not
you.
visible on full screen mode. No.
Share your full screen.
Yeah, now I've done. Is it on the full screen now?
No, ma'am.
Share it
Is it
again.
not?
Share it again, ma'am.
Okay, I'll do that. Now is it on a full screen or still the same?
Ma'am, it's still the same.
Share your
Okay,
entire
so let me
Share your
increase.
entire screen.
screen.
अच्छा, ठीक है.
Ma'am, we have shared the screen.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. We'll do by that way, not an issue. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so let's start with few of the definition first. So food inspection, why we do inspection? That is more important, right? So inspection in general, it's an heart of enforcement system, right? We will discuss later on about the enforcement system, what are the type of inspection which we do, what are the contribution, okay? First, let us understand the basic definition about it. The approach for the food inspection has shifted from being mostly reactive based on end-to product inspection to being a preventive and risk-based things, right? When we talk about the HACCP, it's all about a proactive approach. We are not reactive, right? It's a proactive approach in which before the problems occur, we have to justify it, we have to work on it, and we have to evaluate how we are going to encounter it. So basically, this inspection is also included in a proactive approach where we have to find out that what may be the probable cause of a food safety. Okay, what may be the probable cause which may cause a food safety hazard. Next slide, please. And testing. What is testing? The food product testing is a scientific analysis of a food and its content. So this analysis we can do for several reasons, right? It can be for determining the characteristic of a product. It may be because of determining the structural or the composition of the product or the physicochemical properties, or it can also be analyzed so that to evaluate the product, what the product is, how is the product, how is the food safeties, right? Next, please. Okay, why we do all these things? Why we do inspections? Why we do testings? We actually perform the inspections and the testing to evaluate the quality, right? So we have to understand what is the quality of the food. That's why we have to do it through the different mechanisms. So what is food quality? Now let us understand that the food quality is the quality characteristic of a food that is acceptable to our consumers. Why it is important? The food quality is important because, you know, it's a requirement. It may be the requirement of a food manufacturer, or it may be the requirement of the jurisdiction system, or there may be a legal requirement, okay? And because these days the food consumers are susceptible to any form of contamination that may occur during the manufacturing process. So that's why we have to analyze the food quality so that the consumer, who is the end user, should not have any sort of problem after consuming of any food product. Next, please. So factor contributing towards the quality. Now we will see what are the things that are important and which may affect the product. Okay. So how do we evaluate the things? How do we, what sort of testing we will do? Either we will analyze a product and what are the contribution towards the quality are, you know, we can analyze the product for its appearance, for the color, it may be the taste, it may be the odor, right? We see the food by eyes first, we eat the food by the eyes first, and then it goes to the mouth, right? So these aesthetic values also plays a very important role. Then the product quality testings can be for its nutritional value, or we have to determine either it contains any adulterants or not, or it can be the chemical contaminants. The contaminants can be any, in fact, physical, chemical, or microbiologicals. So we can test the product through for any of these parameters. Next, please. Okay, why it is important? We are discussing like we have to do inspection to do this. We will be doing testings on these parameters. But why it is important? To analyze the food product before or after. Anyways, okay. Number one, there can be many reasons. Few of them are to know the quality of the material, to know the quality of raw material, the quality of processed product, the quality of intermediate product, right? Then to understand the occurrence of any physiochemical changes during the processing or storage. Until and unless we evaluate the quality, we will not be able to understand the product structure. We will not be able to evaluate its shelf life. We will not be able to evaluate how it should be stored, right? How it should be consumed, or how long we should keep it. So that's why to understand its changes, what are the changes is going to happen during a due course of time, that also we need to evaluate. And then to ensure the purity, freshness and the safety of the food product at the time of consumption. Everyone want to have a fresh and pure product, right? So until and unless we justify the product with the testings, we will not be able to demonstrate that our food product is safe at the time of consumption. So the testings help us to maintain the quality of the product, to evaluate the quality of the product, and to justify the quality of the product. Okay, next please. So the various parameters can be basically physical, chemical, microbiological, and the packaging materials. So let us take few examples, like what are the physical parameters and which type of testing we do for a different food products. Yeah, next please. So common testings are the color, viscosity, weight, thickness. So these are the physical properties. Okay, and just to ensure the product consistency, just to ensure the product, to evaluate the physical properties. Next, please. So the rheological and the physical parameters can be like retractions through what we do through the sieve testings in terms of the powders, the flours, okay. Insect infestations, the visual observation. These are few parameters which is applicable to majorly food products, which we can apply in majority of the industries. And this can be done, without having a larger scale laboratory. This can be performed by any technically qualified person at a very raw level. And which is also very important, in terms of a quality, every industry should also follow few parameters of a testing to ensure that their product, that their would-be product, their final product will be of a good quality. Until and unless we maintain the basic parameters of a raw material, we cannot ensure that the final product will have a very good properties, right? A very good quality. So the quality will always start with the raw material quality itself. So admixtures again, there can be visual inspections for the cereal, pulses. Colors are very important. So color with the Lovillon scales, we measure for the oils and fats, turbidity, optional rotations. And this polarimeter can be used for for measuring the liquid products like the sugar, syrup, oil, fats, and all. Next, please. The chemical parameters. So this chemical parameters, the basic parameters, these are very important in terms of determining the structural property of any food product. So the moisture, as we all know, moisture is always a main culprit for any type of infestation, any type of degradation, for reducing the shelf life, anything. So the moisture plays a very, very important role. So it can be used for most of the food product, animal products, food products, vegetarian products, right? Fat and oils, chemical again, proteins, starch, these are the basic parameters which usually we check. Yeah, next please. Then in packaging material. So packaging material again plays a very important role to understand like how my product is gonna be in any of the shelf or any of the type of weather, any type of environment condition, how my product is going to survive and what effect it will have when any external environment will come in. So that packing material checking is very also important. So the tin and chromium, we have to check in any tin plates, the sulfide stains and food canes, usually what we check. Then we have a migration test. Migration testing is a very important, extremely important. Until and unless we evaluate our packaging material, no industry should decide the packaging material until and unless they understand or evaluate the properties of it. The packaging material should always be selected as per the property of a food product. And again, the migration test plays a very important role. Even in many of the cases, it is carcinogenic as well. Like the government has banned the disposable plastic cups, right? Why? They have banned that any hot product, hot beverage, specifically tea, should not be served in a plastic disposable cups. Why? Because when the hot product comes into that disposable low quality plastic material, it creates a carcinogenic effect. So that migration plays a very important role. And the testing which is related to a migration test also is very important. It has to be, and it has to be done, ethically, rightly. Heavy metals again, the toxic creations. So like lead, arsenic, cadmium. So these all also has to be evaluated. Water vapor permeability, OTR, what we do, MVTR, oxygen transmission rate, moisture vapor transmission rate. So these all are the different tests which needs to be evaluated during the packaging material selections. Next, please. So just I have given a few idea about like what sort of testings are required in terms of dairy product, the beverage, meat and fish and poultry, fruits and vegetables and the others. So just what we do is the shelf life, the ripeness of determination of the cheese, like how much ripened it is, as the cheese requires so much of the process. Then the discrimination between the cheese types. So these all things are being done through the testing, and these are being done to evaluate the exact property of a food product. Beverages identification, brands of a cola or beer, right? So the discrimination between the beers with the traces of diacetyl and dimethyl sulfides, that plays a very important role towards the health of the product, towards the health of the consumer. Meat and meat products with the maturation. So these are some of the techniques which we do, specifically, and these are the specific techniques, specific testings that needs to be evaluated in terms of any product testings. Okay, next, please. These are like, so what we are talking about the adulteration. So what we do the checking of the adulteration, whether our product is a pure or not, how we will evaluate. So what are the adulterants? I'm sure you all are knowing this. So we can go quickly by all these definitions. So adulteration is any material, which are added in a food product and which may cause potential harmful effect to any health. So that's why it's an adulterant. Okay, next. Okay, next. We can skip the definitions. Next, please. So contaminants are the very important thing. We can never ever evaluate any sort of contaminants with the physical appearance, right? So testing plays a damn important role for evaluation of a contaminant, and certainly the product of any food product should not have any sort of contaminant, or it should not be beyond the limit. We can never say that a food product will be there which will not have any sort of hazards. That's impossible. It's next to impossible. A food product may have certain things, but that should be within the limit. We cannot live in a sterile environment, right? So even if things are there, so that hazards, that particular thing should be within limit. If it is within limits, it will be good for our health. If it is not within limits, then certainly it will cause a detrimental effect. So contaminants means what? Contaminants means any substance, whether or not added to a food product, but it present in such food, which is, which may be a result of any of the previous activities. It can be crop husbandry or animal husbandry or veterinary medicines. We all know about the antibiotic residues. So these are the contaminants, which are causing potential health hazards. And this all things can be evaluated with the means of testing only. Next, please. Hazards, we all know about it. So physical, chemical, biological, or allergens. Food additives. So food additives are again an important things which can be evaluated with the means of testings only. So testings will let us know that, say suppose any product is there and it is containing a color. With the visual inspection or with the sensory evaluation, we may not be able to evaluate whether the additives or whether the color which is being added to any food product is a natural color, or it's a nature identical, or it's an artificial color. We may not be able to identify it, right? So that's why it's important to evaluate any sort of additives which is being added through, and this can be possible by the means of testings only. Next, please. And why we are doing? To ensure the food safety. That means food is acceptable for human consumption, and after testing, we actually certify. We certify that yes, the food is safe, and testing is a means to certify that yes, the product is safe and it will not cause any harmful health effect. Next, please. Food inspection or the audit. So this is basically we do, the functional checking of the different things. Next, please. Okay. So food testing facility, how the product should be evaluated and how it can be done. So manufacturers who are into the large manufacturing, they can have a well set up, well-equipped laboratory for doing the different type of testings like the physical, microbiological, or chemical. But in case there is no in-house laboratory, then regular testing shall be conducted. This may be applicable to the small business owners, to MSMEs particularly, because they don't have that much infrastructure, they don't have that much calibrated employees, or that way technically qualified employees who can perform different sort of testings. They may not have that much this equipments to perform the testing. So in that cases, any food business should test their product from any third laboratory. And how should be the laboratory? How we will justify that yes, the lab which has been used for determining for testing of our product is okay or not. The selection of lab should be done based on their accreditation. Okay, so the lab where we can test our product should be NABL accredited, so that we will justify that yes, whatever results they are producing is correct, or it can be any notified FSSAI lab. And should also, how now the question comes like, on what parameters should the food business test their product? So the testing has to be done based on the FSSAI guidelines. So we are in India, so we have to follow that. FSSAI has already, there is a regulations, and FSSAI has already given the list of testing which needs to be performed in which product. Like if I'm dealing with a milk product, what are the tests which I needs to be done? If I'm into cereal products, then what are the tests which needs to be done? If I'm into fruits and vegetables, what are the parameters and what should be its limit? And on which protocol it has to be tested. All things has been beautifully defined by the FSSAI, and we have to adhere to that particular test. I think my slide share is off.
Just hold on, ma'am. We are reconnecting.
Okay, not an issue. I will share it. Okay. Next, please. Yeah. Okay, so now let's take some sampling, that how the sampling should be. So there is a separate regulations for it, and FSSAI has defined like how the sample should be taken. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So it can be on the lot or the gross sample basis. So lot means a single lot, which has been manufactured, we'll consider that as a lot, or the gross sample can also be taken from a different portions, or, if bulk quantities is being produced, then we can take the portionings. Next. Okay. So like the testing rules can be like, if you are having in a lot 4 packets you are having, then each packet should be tested, and a small quantity should be taken from each packet, and that will become a master sample, and that sample has to be tested with a thorough mixing. If your lot is containing the package up to 100 bags or 100 packets are there, then at least 20% with the minimum of 4 packets should be tested, and for more than 100, 10% with the minimum of 20 packets should be tested. Next, please. So now let us discuss about the precaution which needs to be taken during the sampling. So all sampling instruments should preferably be made of stainless steel. This is the first requirement, that it should be of SS. Okay. Whatever sampling instrument you are using, that be perfectly clean and dry, and preferably sanitized. If it is sanitized, then it is very good. Sorry, not sanitized, it's sterilized. It should be sterilized. So the clean and dry it should be. The samples which we have taken should not be exposed to the open air. It should be maintained properly, and it should be kept in an airtight condition, and it should be kept as per the requirement of the product. If the product is required to be preserved or to be stored at a refrigeration temperature, it should be there. If it requires the storage at lower temperature, like a freezing temperature, then it should be there. Sample containers should be filled such that, if it is a liquid, so 5 to 10% of the capacity should be left open, okay, which we call it the air space. Next, please. So what I told you, the testing requirements of a particular product, it's very good. It's listed down in this regulation. So I have already shared the link of that, so that can be checked from that. Next, please. Okay. So this, for example, the adulteration, this needs to be tested. This is the first of the requirement of the FSSAI. Okay. FSSAI has already given some of the DART techniques. What are that? The DART techniques are for determining the adulteration. So if your turmeric is containing a color, how you are going to test it? By simply putting a pinch of turmeric in a glass of water. You have to need, dilute, very slowly add a pinch of turmeric to a transparent glass of bowl of water. If the water becomes yellow, that means your product is containing few of the color. Otherwise, the turmeric will settle down. So there are some other tests also. If your red chili powder is containing a brick powder, then what will happen? If you're slowly and gradually adding a pinch of red chili powder to a glass of water, then if it contains a brick powder of it contains any of the wooden ashes, then it will go right at the right towards the bottom of the glass. Okay, and if it is pure, it will go very slowly. So such type of simple techniques are given, which you can easily test at your home also. Okay, so adulterations need to be tested. This is one of the requirements. These days food fraud are very much there, and with the help of test only we will be able to determine that whether the product is of a true nature or it has been altered. Okay, and a cheaper food may also be represented as if they were a food of a greater value. This is all been happening in the market these days, so that's why the tests are very much required. Next, please. Contaminants and toxins. So these are few of the safety parameters. Okay, so the product can be evaluated based on the quality parameters or the safety parameters. So quality parameters are what we do on a regular basis to evaluate the quality, like we have discussed right now. Okay, so the physical properties, which viscosity or the color, then the chemical properties which we test. Okay, these like this fat, protein, vitamins. So these are the quality parameters. The safety parameters, which means the parameters which may affect the quality of the which may affect the health. Okay, that means the contaminants, the toxins, the heavy metal residue, pesticide residues. So these are, the safety parameters, which are also very important, needs to be tested. So the FBOs should ensure that the food product is tested for the relevant chemical and microbiological contaminants through the FSSAI or NABL accredited lab, when it should be done at least once in a 6 month. We understand all of these things required very sophisticated equipments, and this required, the high type of laboratory. That means a very sophisticated, that may require the GC, HPLC. So such type of instruments is not at all possible that each and every FBO can afford it or can have it. Then again, the technical competency of the one who will be operating it. So in such cases, it's not possible. So that's why this can be tested from any of the accredited labs once in a 6 months. And which contaminant needs to be tested? What is the limit of the testing? It's all been defined by the FSSAI, and one needs to follow that. Next, please. So which type of testing? Physical, chemical, micro being the basic one. So other things are the adulterants and contaminants analysis, chemicals like moisture, pH, acidity, energy, fat content, etc. This also includes the nutritional value identifications. Then the microbiological testings like coliforms, the pathogens, specifically the pathogens, which is very important to test. So E. coli, Asorius, yeast, mold, salmonella. So these are being tested. Micronutrient analysis, vitamins, minerals. Okay. Then the nutritional and proximate analysis, organoleptic sensory evaluation, residual analysis like the pesticide and antibiotic drug residues, mycotoxins. So these are the toxins which can be evaluated from the labs with the sophisticated instruments. And then there can be some visual inspections, okay, like the gradient, the size, okay, color, etc. Next, please. So technical requirement of the government. So we are talking about the inspections, we are talking about the testing. So how should be the facility? Okay, let us have something about it. So the facility should be what? Facility should have the facility which, what are the things that will contribute so that any lab can have accreditation, and we can say that why the test which has been performed in any accredited lab has more value and why the other labs which has not been accredited are having a less value. Let us understand that something. So the one which is having an accreditation will also have something which is, the system. The system will include, the general means the infrastructure basic thing. Personal means the one who is actually who are performing the testing. How well competent they are, how well educated they are, how well experienced they are, what sort of trainings they have undergone. So these all things are important. Then accommodation and environmental conditions. What are the environmental conditions? Because certain equipments needs to be, the certain equipments will perform best when it is being stored at a proper temperature. Okay, so that all things needs to be verified. Test and calibration methods, whether the instrument which is being used for performing the product, for performing the testing, it is calibrated or not. That also needs to be, that also is very important. Method validations, equipments, then measurement, traceability, how well traceable is the readings, that all system is required. Sampling protocol, handling of the test and calibrated items. Okay, then assuring the quality of test and calibration items, and report writing is also an art actually. Okay, so that all things needs to be verified. And when a laboratory is having with all of this system, and then only it will get the traceability. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so just when we talk about the laboratory, so FSSAI are having three types of laboratories. One is the level 1 laboratories. These laboratories are performing the basic testing. The food product is standard and food additive part 1 and 2. This level 1 laboratories will perform only this basic testing. Level 2 will perform the food product is standard and food additives as well as the contaminants and toxics. So which requires some of more competencies. So level 2 laboratories will include both of these things. Next, please. And the third one is referral laboratory. Now the testing, for sure, level 2 is being able to perform the testing of all sort of types. The standard food product is standard and food additives, as well as the contaminants and toxin residues. So this two things will be done by referral laboratories as well as the level 2 laboratories. In addition to level 2, the referral laboratories will also perform some of the R&Ds. Okay, they are being competent to perform other things like R&D capabilities. If any new food product is there, what should be there? Such type of R&Ds can also be done by the referral laboratories. Next, please. Yes. So these are few of the reference like IEC 17025, which is the standard for NABL accreditations. And these are some of the other references which we have captured. Next, please. All right. So thank you so much. It was all about the inspections and testings. That's all from my side. Thank you. I think Ms. Zarna, you are on mute.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a wonderful presentation and sharing valuable information with us. We now move ahead with the panel discussion. Our panelists for the day are Dr. Kataria, Yashi ma'am, Krishna ma'am, and Muralidhar sir.
Yeah, Jarna, where is the starting point? Acha, okay.
A brief intro about Krishna ma'am. She is the director for Grtfudzz Impex Private Limited. Her academic qualifications are BSc and MSc in microbiology. She is the lead author for QMS, FSMS, OHSMS, and EMS. She has a vast experience of 26 years in food industry. She has been awarded for meritorious services in IRS. She has won the Best Paper Award for paper presentations on microbiological corrosions at the NACE ScoreCon 2003. Welcome, Krishna Dutta. Mr. Muralidhar Vaiti. He is the Vice President in International Certification Services. His academic qualifications are Masters in Computer Science, MBA in Marketing, and his areas of specialization include information. Is the qualified IRCA approved lead auditor and lead trainer for QMS, EMS, OHSMS, ISMS, FSMS, business continuity, ENMS, and ship recycling. Welcome, Mr. Muralidhar Vaiti. Over to you, sir.
So I have to do the starting, is it? Jarna?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I see. First and foremost, Yashi, nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Just good, nice one. Okay. I think Krishna has to do the first one, no, Jarna? That's what the banner said.
Yeah, you are right, Mr. Muralidhar. Krishna has to start the opening.
Thank you so much, and I'm really honored. So, Yashi, it was really nice listening to you. Okay, I mean, it's like really going through the entire testing and analysis and why it is important as far as food is concerned. So, in fact, when we went through this whole presentation, the only thing that was coming back to me again and again is that how can we really make this whole information available to consumers more than the manufacturers? You know, because only when the consumers ask for it will the manufacturers do it. So Yashi, do you have anything wherein you can actually try and have some awareness content for the consumers, especially which we can actually give through our websites, or make it available to them with the through the various social media, because it's very powerful. Whatever you did today was very, very powerful, very good,
Very
amazing. Like, people ought to know what adulterants are, what contaminants are, and it was very well presented. Anything that you can make, like, it would be great.
Right. Ma'am, I believe, like, as a consumer, it's very difficult to check any product by themselves. Like,
Correct.
it's not possible. The consumer maximum, what they can do, they can have the DART techniques, which has been already shared by FSSAI. So that DART
Correct.
techniques include so many techniques which a consumer or anyone who is, a simple 12th pass can perform the test. Like as I told you, that evaluation of a turmeric, whether it contains a colors or not. So the evaluation of a milk, whether it contains starch or not. So these all things can be tested by a consumer at a very raw level. And, any homemaker can do that. So this DART technique can be published on different websites. And I believe the consumer should be aware about it. The milk
Correct.
which I am drinking, it contains starch or not. I understand that as a consumer, I will not be able to check what type of antibiotic residues it has. It has.
Hmm.
It's not possible for me. But okay, it contains more of water. Whether it contains more of starch or not, that can be evaluated.
Correct.
So I think for a consumer level, that techniques is very good thing.
Right. In fact, in our factory, from our factory, we do a lot of exports. So always our test reports have to go through the EIA and then we get the health certificate. So I have been always contemplating with this idea about having the QR codes on the test reports.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just now after seeing your presentation, I just felt if you have a QR code, which we can actually ask the manufacturers also to put it on their labels. Okay. So it can directly take them to the test reports that you generate for the products.
Yeah, the
That
COA
itself,
sort of.
that itself is a huge way in which the manufacturer will be very careful and the consumer will be assured of the food.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, over a period now, since we have the access to technology, we know how to use the knowledge. It's important that we actually take it forward to the people.
Right.
Unless the people demand, things won't happen. We all know how, we are doing a lot of third party audits for our FBOs. We are doing a lot of hygiene rating audits, and we know where we stand.
Right.
But I really feel very encouraged by seeing presentations from people like you when you make all your efforts to bring out how things can go wrong. Right? Because it's really amazing. So one thing I just wanted to ask you, like, in microbiology, though I'm a microbiologist myself, but I'm not from the testing background anymore. Okay, so I'm more from the risk assessment background. Are there any rapid tests now for getting the tests done, especially for salmonella and staphylococcus and listeria? Because these three are looking up to be a little problem over a period.
And the rapid test for the microbiologicals are available. But that is a quantitative analysis. That's a qualitative analysis. The quantitative analysis is not being there at present. Qualitatively, yes, there are many rapid tests.
Is also good enough actually for that matter, because once you say that yes, salmonella is present, definitely it can't go ahead. Right. Because where the challenge is that we do manufacturing, we then send it for testing, but holding back those 5 days, especially for some things which are really perishable, is a big concern. And also this would actually lead to a lot of information with respect to protecting the products for food security reasons as well. We generate a lot of waste. If we see in the food industry, then disposition of that waste also creates a bigger problem. So when people like you take on something like this, wherein we can handle the food security, safety, and the sustainability together, definitely it will play a big role.
Right. So these days, the industries are using, especially the dairy industries, I come to know, they are using this rapid techniques for the qualitative analysis, just to shut down the things, once initial read signal, so that they can go ahead. And then the transit times they are utilizing they are doing the long traditional technique as well, but they are using then, the transit time, which can be used for that.
Correct. Yes. And how do you think an internal laboratory of an organization can actually produce results which can be reproducible in the external laboratory as well? Is it possible to really get them both together at par, the internal laboratory as well as an external one? Because you have far better infrastructure than an internal laboratory for that matter.
Yeah, ma'am, it all depends like how well equipped your lab is. If your own laboratory, internal laboratory is at par with the requirement which we have shared about the technology, the personal level and all, it's about the accreditation. Even if you get your internal lab accredited for NABL, then you will be having all that parameters which is required for, for the results to be an authentic one. So that can be done.
Okay. And as far as your internal laboratories are concerned, just getting that accredited itself is a big challenge.
It's a big challenge. Yes.
Yeah. It's like getting it certified itself could be a challenge. Accreditation is way beyond.
So that's why the other laboratories are there, those who are working for that accreditation, and the other laboratories are working on that itself principles only.
Correct.
So until and unless it's been accredited, the justification of the results of the analysis is, it's quite questionable. So that's why it is always been preferred to have the lab, have the testing from the NABL or the FSSAI accredited lab, so that the results are being justified.
Got it.
Here, I would like to add something which is important. Now, as Krishna Dutta says, internal laboratory getting accreditation is a big challenge, definitely, because the amount of equipment, instrument you can buy is very difficult, like toxicity test and residue test. It required equipments are very, very expensive.
Very.
And internal testing just not justify. So what I would like to request our external laboratory to be more active, to be more faster, to be more customer friendly, like selecting this, taking the sample from you and testing and delivering it to you within 24 hours or 96 hours, depending on the test result. So that you have time lag and your this thing. And other thing, I think rapid testing has not come to the art of science because they had to also develop, because like in medical, we use a lot of rapid testing, hepatitis B, many of the things. And it is qualitative. It gives you immediately. And that should be sufficient for you to export. And then simultaneously your long-term test can go. So I think we had to ask people, this laboratory to be more friendly, user-friendly. And we had to also request NABL accreditation body to be more hand-holding.
Supportive in the whole process.
So that we don't say we are perfect. It takes time to get perfection and get our system established, system testing, training our people. So I think they should be having better hand-holding attitude. Thank you.
In fact, just one thing that I feel in medical, they use rapid tests because, there again, the test is very much relevant to an individual. Whereas when we talk about food, that food could go to at least 10,000 more people. So if at all something goes wrong, then 10,000 people are at the effect of it.
But
so getting those rapid tests relevant for such a big subject itself probably is a challenge.
Yeah, that challenge can be worked out with number of samples you take.
Absolutely.
If
Correct.
you increase the number of sample parcel, and you can represent it, and it is quite accurate. I don't know, it's very scientific method of testing it.
Sure.
Correct. You can rely on this data.
Absolutely.
But anyway, you are also going for long-term tests, and in case of any problem during transit, you can withdraw your product.
No, so that is again a big challenge. No, see, in our country, though we know that food comes from a very, very unorganized sector, how many times have you heard about a recall or a withdrawal?
Yeah.
We just don't do it because we have bigger challenges. Even the regulatory bodies, if we tend to recall, in fact, last year I remember one batch of some herbs were recalled because which was imported into India. But again, I think from Germany they had said that it has after 1 year it has shown the presence of salmonella. So they asked for a recall, and in India it became a big concern how to recall the product because it had moved to all the QSRs and it had moved. It was actually a herb used for pizzas, to be used on pizzas. So as many pizza units they could identify, they were trying to recall, but it's not possible that way. See, this is where the whole feature is. Like today, if you go on the street, you find somebody who thinks कि अरे मुझे कुछ करना है, तो क्या करना है? एक वड़ा पाव का दुकान चला लो.
कुछ और काम नहीं है तो चलो फूड बिजनेस में आ जाते
हाँ,
हैं.
फूड बिजनेस easiest of all.
Easiest.
50% प्रॉफिट है उसके अंदर, और क्या है, जब तक पकड़े जाएंगे तब तक रेवेन्यू बन जाएगा. See, that is how we treat that
Yes.
business. Okay.
Yes.
Now, when we treat that business this way itself, तो challenge तो उसमें बने रहेंगे. और जो मैन्युफैक्चरर है वो बेचारा वो करता रहेगा सब कुछ X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and the other ones who are actually on the street like this, they'll say कल तक चलेगा ना, कल तक करते हैं, कोई बात नहीं. Because they have nothing to lose.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
But nevertheless, testing and analysis forms an integral part of growing in the food industry.
Yes.
Yes.
Because if we don't have testing and analysis, then to our business itself is at risk.
Very
Big
much.
risk.
And these days the competition is very high. You cannot go without delivering a quality product. You cannot
Correct.
grow. These days
You cannot.
competition are very high. The consumer is also very much aware now.
Yeah, but it has to come from the consumer. That is a
Yes.
fact.
Yeah. Especially India is becoming a export hub now for the
Correct.
food industries, and
Yes,
it's a
yes.
big challenge for us to have number of laboratories which are reliable, which are authentic, and can provide you faster service, qualitative service, and quantitative service.
Absolutely. That
Yeah, I think
reliability and authenticity.
Yeah, Muralidhar has something to say.
No, I think all of you are speaking on the subject very well. So you please continue. Thank you.
So I personally feel it was a very, very informative session and very well rendered. So, and I want to thank Sir also. Sir, this is a really very good initiative that you have taken on
Thank
of having talks on topics every week. It's keeping you so engaged with the subject and always creating a bigger, understanding about the whole thing. Only I personally feel that it should be available to more people. So maybe going forward, you can think of actually having it on some bigger medium so that more people can participate and take advantage of this knowledge. This is
Yeah.
the only thing that we can share in a big way, nothing more.
You had to, as you rightly started with the remark starting in March, that the consumer has to be made up.
Correct.
That is the big challenge. I can see now FSSAI is very, very active on YouTube and training programs and all these things. And I feel very happy that they are trying to educate masses. So this is our authorities, legal authorities, they should bring it to public.
Sure.
Like I can give you a simple example. Now, use of newspaper, I think few years back, there were big challenge and big news was there and a lot of hue and cry was made. And then they banned it also, legislative. The paper cannot be used for food product packing. And still it is not implemented. Why? Because the consumer is not asking for it. You go buy a samosa, you are ready to accept it in the newspaper. And nobody has done the hazard analysis, how it is there. It's a continuously you are having toxicity taken with the food. Like the simple, my experience, when I go to temple every Sunday, then they give me prasad. Then they give me prasad in hand or in a thali, where the puja thali. Then you take the puja thali and at the counter where the prasad is being available and packed. So he always giving me on the paper. Then I educated him. I told him, please don't give it on. It's a ban. और इसमें जो आपकी जो इंक लगी हुई है वो टॉक्सिक इंक है, वो उसमें आप मावा उसके ऊपर डाल रहे हैं तो मावा कंटेमिनेट हो जा रहा है, खराब हो जा रहा है, मैं बीमार पड़ सकता हूँ. तो then I refused taking from him. It continued for 2-3 months. Then he realized, then he bought the polythene bags and he used to give to me at least. But I say, why to me? You give it to
Ah.
everybody, remove this paper from here. So that consumer plays very important. That's what I want to stress up.
Correct. And so if we remember, no, during our childhood, there was nothing that was coming in newspaper or anything. They had proper those brown packets, paper
Correct.
packets, not even plastic. You buy anything from the shop or the street, they would give it in that. It's only with the onset of new ideas कि paper का भी हम bag बनाकर कुछ डालकर उस पे दे दे, तो it has led to all this. But now again there is going to be a challenge because from the 1st of June that single use plastic is again going to be completely banned.
Yeah.
So again there will be a new feature, so we'll have to again look forward to what next. But definitely only we can make a difference, that's correct. But sir, you will have to think of making more people aware. So how you would do it, we want to really know. Maybe do it on a social media or have YouTube links to these sessions, because these sessions are very good. Even the consumers will like it.
Yeah, Murli sir, anything you have to say on this? How to increase the consumer awareness?
So this is the platform. In this you can do the platform. It's good. Thank you. That's good platform.
So good. So we have any questions from the participants today? Okay. So anybody
Yes.
would like to ask any questions, anything?
Hi, Krishna. Sumit here. How are you,
Hi,
ma'am?
Sumit.
Hi.
I'm good. How are you?
Very nice,
So nice
ma'am.
to see you for a long time.
So yeah, Yashi, ma'am, thank you, and it was really nice, and we got to listen to a lot of insight in terms of testing. Krishna, I have a certain question.
Yes.
One is, if we tweak the side of awareness, one is the awareness issue, fair enough. Two is the availability of testing, or is our testing come to that level? See, I was just following the conversation which you all had between those rapid kits, and we went between product testing to individual testing. I thought we mixed the two together. जैसे milk है, ठीक है, we see that milk में adulteration है, and there are these small kits which you get, just submerge it in the milk and it litmus test, it changes color and you come to know. Now my question is, how much such availability is there for ready to eat food? How can I check it? There is nil, according to me, there is nil development in the zone. So we are concentrating on food laboratories at the point of where we are checking before we are trying to dispatch it, and imports and exports में हम उसे concentrate कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. But has the consumer or has the manufacturer come to any kind of level ki boss, this is my check, and you check it, and at any point of time you will not get this contamination? It can be checked like salmonella. Can I have a litmus test for salmonella that I touch it on the product and it color changes? There is nothing like that available. So I am saying we are way back in terms of even thinking of developing these products. आज अगर आप सिंपल वाटर का भी मतलब वाटर एंड मिल्क का भी टेस्ट करें तो you'll struggle to find where do you get the product from a layman consumer point of view. See, we are in the industry, we would know, but अगर एक यूजर को चेक करना है कि उसका मिल्क प्रॉपर है या अडल्टरेटेड है, तो how does he check it? Where does he get that paper from? So I think food has to go a long way yet in terms of the outlook. Plus, even internationally, I believe, is there something like this available that you can check before you consume?
Basically, see, it's a regulated feature at the end of the day.
Right.
And if you check abroad, the regulations are far stringent because they have a task force to monitor the whole thing.
Right.
In India, our diversity is so huge that first of all, competent people to drive the whole thing itself is a big question.
Right.
So Yashi will agree with me, like I think even you all do the food safe, that FSSAI
Yeah.
third party audits.
Yes, yes.
See the kind of mandates that are there in it, that one auditor can do only 50 audits in a year. What are you trying to do with it? Why are you doing it? Because where will you have this pool of auditors?
Correct. Correct.
Where you don't have. So at least let one auditor do at least 200 audits in a year. क्योंकि वो food safety का 200 mandates is good enough. कुछ नहीं है.
No, there is no bounding that we cannot do more than 50 audits. There is no bounding as
Of course,
See,
100 mandates
Uh,
maximum.
ये
Each auditor.
जितने भी, see, I'll tell you, let's look at it from a way where FSSAI, you know, they were struggling the gradation of hotels. I've been looking at gradation of eateries, class A, class 1, class 2, class 3. And I think I've been hearing that for the last 7 years that, you know, they are trying to take it up and it will come under the accreditation protocol and we will have, you know, food safety auditors do that activity and, you know, the municipalities will give that away and it'll come under the gamut. But I don't think concretely, but although it's worth appreciating that FSSAI has done a quantum leap in terms of where they have reached. So they have covered Bhoj, they've covered eateries. People have come to the level of awareness where even in home manufacturer, I have so many friends who are into home manufacturing, they are getting concerned. They're saying, "Yaar, I've started making, you know, dadi ke laddu ka recipe and all that." So they say, should I get myself registered? How do I go about it? And people are actually aware. So I think we've come in a very, very strong way upfront in terms of implementing it, in terms of awareness. But जहां तक testing है ना मैम, मुझे अभी भी लगता है कि we have miles to go. We have miles to go.
टेस्टिंग में तो है ही कंसर्न, क्योंकि कोई इन्वेस्ट भी नहीं करता ना उसमें.
हाँ, that's the point.
Invest your time. You have
So
to invest
it's like I compare this, you know, synonym with the EMS. So EMS certification in India is very poor because you need to invest in your ETPs, you need to invest in your infrastructure.
Correct.
And हमारा जो manufacturing line है, that particularly, again, even in food, when you try to implement all this, you need a lot of investment. You have a lot of infrastructures that you need to put in place, a lot of testings that you need to put in place. Your cold storages need to be absolutely up to the mark. India, हमारा level of cold storages in terms of, you know, maintaining temperatures, putting chillers. We still try to implement a lot of cold chain through split ACs. We don't realize that, you know, the chillers do not give you that kind of temperature. You'll struggle to maintain a 20 or a 21 degree also in peak summer with a.
Correct.
So those are the issues which are long standing. But that's all. Yes, sir.
Here I would further say one thing you have to think that we are from the Inspector Raj, we are coming to self-certification system.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the driving force is, of course, one is the exporter. That is a driving force. And we are aware of international requirements, testing requirements, and all those things, which challenges Krishna is also facing for last few years. So these are the big challenges. But nevertheless, now if you see some of the good manufacturers, they are self-disciplined, like Haldiram, if you take. Now he has very hard way, he has learned last 30 years how to build a system and HSE system and then 22,000 FSSI, all these things. And you can see the product has also transformed. The system has transformed. So I think it's time our industries, manufacturing industry, food has to get transformed, not depending upon the inspectors or FSSI. They themselves should be self-disciplined, self-testing your product. He should proud that my product, he should challenge, my product can be checked anytime. It will pass through. That should be there.
No, the product will pass. Okay, the way we manufacture, maybe the product will pass. There is no problem with it, right? The problem with us is that assurance system is not there. We see there are two things. One is a quality control and one is the quality assurance. The quality assurance is through and through and through you check. Like as she was saying, right from raw material, you go through to the end product and manage it. So that becomes a very, very cumbersome, difficult and an expensive feature for us as manufacturers also. End product testing to koi bhi karega. So Yashi, you must be facing this, right? End product testing आपके पास बहुत आता होगा, right? Yashi, are there?
Correct.
I think Yashi has got frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So end product testing is not a big deal.
Hmm.
It's the assurance system that happens through and through, which is not there. And what happens is in the end product also there's a challenge. The challenge is that when you're testing it, it might not show any concern. But when you have kept it for some time and then consumed it, there is a possibility that there will be toxins that will get generated inside, or whatever are the remnant microbes, they will find a suitable condition and start proliferating.
Correct.
And that's where they will start causing a problem. But we don't think about this because हमने उतना invest ही नहीं किया उसके अंदर. तो वो जो quality assurance system की हम बात कर रहे हैं, like when we talk of food safety management or HACCP or FSSC or any of these are all about them. Testing is just one feature which needs a lot of due diligence because the regulator wants it.
Yeah. And
More than
your
yourself.
Krishna Dutta, your concern was very much appreciated that we don't have manpower, means like FSSI inspectors, or we don't have good FSMS auditors. Many times when I review the reports, our auditor don't are making any non-compete. Even when I write to them, these observations what you have given AFI, area for improvement, these are non-compete. Please raise the non-compete. Like simple, that your packaging material to be tested. There is AFI. It is not AFI.
It is a requirement.
It is a requirement, has to follow. Similarly, incoming raw material has to be tested.
Correct.
That also he has put as AFI. The few things which he has put AFI, which I don't appreciate. I think we have to be little more, we have tighten our belt. Our auditors should tighten their belt and they should not be shy to raise non-compete because they are helping the organization.
Correct. It all starts with how they have been trained.
Yes,
It's the question is there. Like I do a lot of trainings for the graduates, food technology graduates. And then you find the basic concern there itself, because they have come with some knowledge which has been nearly 25 years old. The relevance to the newer system, newer technology is hardly there. And then when you start talking to them about it, then they say कि नहीं हमको तो ये पता नहीं है. So then it becomes a concern for a trainer कि अभी उसको food technology सिखाओ पहले, फिर उसको training दो. So this is a very, very critical feature that we all are facing. Like many trainers like me, they will have the same thing to tell you, same story, that this is how it is. Like food safety training हम उनको कब देंगे जब उनको कुछ basic तो पता होगा.
I think Yashi has come back.
Yeah, she's come back, and that's a very, very valid point, Krishna ma'am, because that's where the core competence, I believe core competence is something that really matters. So your educational background and your core competence makes a world of difference. Especially in our industry, if you have non-food auditors who are doing food, the level of implementation, the level of quality that you will get at the floor level will be eminently seen.
It's not only this. I remember one food safety officer had come to my facility, and she was about 25, 26. Okay. And then she started looking at the whole thing, and it was like, I could feel that it's all Greek and Latin for her, whatever she's watching. Okay. And I see, I am running that facility, so I know where the concerns are, and I know how to address it. But then yes, there could be want of funds, there could be want of time, for which you don't address them right there. But I was amazed with the way she came up and she told me what the concerns were. You know what the concerns were? The trays जो हम नीचे रखते हैं, to pull out the entire stack, that needs to be cleaned. I said, how do you expect it to be clean? It is being used to pull the track, the entire stack. So,
Correct, yeah.
I mean, they lose the bigger picture and they start focusing on all the small stuff because they don't know to go beyond. That's the whole problem with them.
Absolutely.
And when you have things like this, you can't expect that industry to improve. Because abhi, theek hai, not many food manufacturers will be microbiologists or food safety people. उन लोग ले बच गए, कुछ नहीं बोला. That's the attitude. क्या करें? Because आप उनको
I think Krishna ma'am is frozen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yashi ma'am, you there? Both have frozen out.
Yes, I think connectivity issues.
Ji. Right. So if there are any questions, please put them up in the chat box. I think Yashi ma'am is back. If there are any questions, please post them in the chat box, or you could, directly unmute yourself and ask the question. Yes, ma'am.
Yashi ma'am is mute.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Senyu, I beg the pardon. I missed that conversation. There were some network clashes. Are you asking something? I missed that actually.
No, ma'am, we've actually asked for people to unmute themselves and ask the question directly, or they can put it in the chat box.
Okay.
Maybe or
Yeah, I don't think there are any questions.
Murlidhar, you have anything?
No,
From
I
Yashi
think
ma'am?
everything is covered in the topic and presentation, I think.
Okay.
Good, but I think just maybe for the sake of asking something to Yashi. Yashi,
Yes, sir.
hi, how are you doing?
All well, sir. Thank you so much.
Great. I think there is one question that actually just come up to think that, that today Russia has declared war with Ukraine. So there may be some containers which is into, they have the peninsula which is already with Ukraine. There may be some food containers lying in the peninsula awaiting to be cleared. So now with the war, what happens to such containers? My question is over. To you, Ra.
Okay. I think they will also get burst during the attack, nuclear attack.
Because now there won't be any question of, recalling also at this stage,
Right.
They are connected with the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. So I don't think any war does not attack any of the civilian posts. That is mandatory. But perhaps it may be just stuck up there, and if it is a fast-moving perishable container, so what do we do? What does anybody do in such cases if it is not clear?
Usually, though, it goes to the sea only. Like they dump it. There is no point of recalling or anything. They usually dump it.
Oh, okay. Dump it would mean that if it is perishable or kharab ho gaya, to that's not an issue, no? Cannot be dumped, no?
Murli sir,
Anji sir.
it will all depend upon the product.
Perishable.
Like today you get the eggs which are sterilized egg. Special process is done to sterilize it. And then its shelf life is 3 months, 6 months. If they are able to maintain the temperature of those containers, I don't think there is any problem, because those containers may be on the ship, and ship has the self system connecting with the electricity and then controlling the temperature. And there are controller recorders also there in the containers these days. So again, it has to be inspected after the war, and how is it has got a spoil or anything. You can't just throw it. So one has to see, like the cold meat, frozen vegetables. There are a lot of things which has better shelf life. So we have to look at all the aspects of those things. What Miss Ashi ma'am?
Yeah, right, sir.
Okay, and ancillary products also needs to be tested, Yashi?
Ancillary products as in?
Does it have to be tested?
No, so ancillary product will be a final product of some other company, right?
Correct.
So the final product has to be tested from the manufacturer end. So it may be ancillary for another one, but for someone it would be a final product. So they have to test the food business operator should test their final product before dispatch.
That means suppose the ancillary is the could be the what do you call it, the simple products such as caps and closures. So that will also be tested in the final product, is it?
So the caps will be tested. It can be tested during the product analysis, the packaging material testing by the end users, the user manufacturers, as well as the cap supplier will also test their product before dispatching.
Great, that's all. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, I think if there are any more questions, is there any more questions? If there is nothing, I think Dilip or Jarna. I think Sonu, are you there? There's a lady who is there. She's all very. You have to unmute. Yeah, Sonu, just one moment, Jarna. Sonu, please unmute yourself. She's not able to unmute herself.
Hello.
Yeah, who is it now?
Yes, Janna, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hello. Our next series is on industrial management. Paryavartan is an annual virtual exhibition and conference organized by ICS. This year, we are going to celebrate Paryavartan from 2nd to 4th June. We are introducing our banner with this. During Paryavartan, we will be having eminent environmentalists from various industries along with their views and knowledge. So do join us during Paryavartan. Thank you, panelists, for such a wonderful panel discussion. ICS is pleased to provide you all its research and development, integrated management system, excellence in education management, ISO made easy in Gujarati, ISO made easy in Marathi, ISO made easy in Telugu, ISO made easy in Hindi. For reading any of the above books, please contact Sushma Kendalkar. For feedbacks, please register on www.sadgunsang.org and go in your login and give feedbacks. We shall now be closing our Sadgunsang session on food inspection and testing. Please feel free to contact us on below address. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a nice weekend.